gracious God, we thank you for your presence always with us. We thank you for your presence that supports us, that loves us, that calls us to you. In Christ our Lord, amen. I'm going to admit to you that with my mom in the hospital following her stroke, moving back and forth between Lubbock these last few weeks, it's been a little difficult for me to actually cultivate a sermon. But I think that I can always share with you how God is speaking through personal experience. And I hope that's okay for me to do that with you again this morning as I did last week. Recently, my personal experience has included a lack of sleep. If you have ever slept beside a patient in a hospital room, then you know it ain't no Hilton. And Sean, I mean no offense here, but the hospitals provide for patient support a sleeping apparatus that is not the kind of thing you would want to sleep on in your own home. Nor would you want to have that sort of sleeping apparatus for your guest, unless of course you have guests that you don't ever want to see again. I'm just saying. What we've been sleeping on at the rehab hospital is a chair that, you flip and turn and fold and pull, and it resembles something akin to a very narrow twin-size bed, but in fact, it's really just a pleather place to recline. But I'll admit that it is better than trying to sleep sitting straight up in a plastic chair in the emergency room, which is what we did for a few nights. We have sheets now, and we have a blanket, and my niece brought some very comfortable pillows from home that we've all been sharing. And as my sister Carrie has said, if you're tired enough, you can sleep anywhere. And that's almost always true. The first time that I laid back on this hospital ched, that's what I'm calling it, it's a chair that converts to a bed, so it's got to be a ched, right? The first time I laid back on this ched, I could not believe how hard it was. It's like a slab of cement, but it has much less give to it. When I reclined on it the first time, my whole body said, oh no, we are not sleeping here. But this is where we had to sleep. And so my body and I laid down and pulled the blanket up under my chin and closed my eyes, and immediately Psalm 4 verse 8 filled my head. I will both lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me lie down in safety. This precious verse often comes to my mind. It's been a source of great comfort to me on a number of occasions. And it has also been a source of comfort to Tallulah as well. Tallulah is the Jack Russell mixed breed that I sleep with and live with, and she is very highly strung. She's easily upset by wind and by rain and by fireworks, so they tend to keep her awake if they blow or downpour or pop or whatever they might be doing during the night. So there have actually been many times when I have repeated Psalm 4 verse 8 to Tallulah. I say to her, Tallulah, I will both lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me lie down in safety. I repeat it to her over and over again as I pet her, and I do it as much for myself as I do for Tallulah. I laid back on that harder than concrete ched next to my mother in the hospital room, considering all there is now to consider for her, and I heard these familiar words come to comfort me again. there is a space, you see, there is time offered to us in the dark of night. There is opportunity to lie down, to close our eyes, and to sleep. Sleep is crucial for our bodies. If we don't sleep, we don't heal. Turns out the brain needs massive amounts of sleep after it is stricken with a stroke. You know, throughout the day, your muscles tear in microscopic ways, but when you are sleeping, those little bitty tears, they heal. The heart needs time to slow down. The lungs and the liver, all of those vital organs, they need time to rest and to restore themselves. Our bodies need rest. But our souls also seek rest. Deep within us is the desire to dwell in peace. That's why I think the words of Psalm 4 are so profound. Spirit whispers through them an invitation to us, an invitation to seek that presence and that wisdom which is greater than our own. This is the gift of the Psalms and why I love them so dearly. They remind us in many ways that we are not alone. There is a strength and there is a love that holds us even in the midst of the most difficult encounters we have in life. I've been thinking lately that we don't hear many sermons from the Psalms. We use them for our calls to worship on a Sunday morning, and we often turn to them in prayer. Sometimes a preacher will use a verse from the Psalms to, kind of give substance to a sermon that's based on another text. But I don't know if I can ever remember hearing a sermon based on a particular psalm, and I've been wondering why that is. Perhaps it is because the Psalms are poetry, and the general public doesn't seem very comfortable with poetry. Poetry is the language of metaphor and simile and imagery, right now? Yeah. It's not meant to be taken literally. It is figurative. And we don't always feel comfortable with that uncertainty of figurative language, metaphor, imagery. In one of my favorite poems by Rilke, he speculates on life and existence. He writes, "I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I don't know if I'll finish this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and still I don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song?" Clearly, the poem is not meant to be literal. But in a richly symbolic way, the poet ponders the ebb and flow of life and the meaning and purpose of our existence here. Poetry does that. It leads us into contemplative thought. And not everybody wants to go there. Not everyone wants to be contemplative, because contemplation requires a great deal of silence, which we're not necessarily good at. It calls us to introspection, and it causes us to shift the way that we normally see things. The Psalms belong to this genre of literature. They invite us to meditation, to introspection, to observation. And in that, they offer us the freedom to ponder deeply our relationship to self and to others and to God. So take a moment, if you will, to flip back into your bulletin and look again at that psalm that we shared a few moments ago as our call to worship, Psalm 3, verses 1 through 6. The psalmist writes, "O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying to me, there's no help for you in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, and the one who lifts my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy hill. I lie down and sleep. I awake again, for the Lord sustains me. I am not afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me all around." What beautiful words, right? So comforting. Words of promise and words of a strength that is ours. But Nan Merrill helps us to hear this psalm more personally. I've mentioned her book to you before, I think several times, and I'm mentioning it again this morning. If you don't have it, rush out and buy it. It is called Psalms for Praying, and it is beautiful. And in this particular psalm, Merrill invites us to see those 10,000s that rise up around us, not as other people, but as our own fear. It's not, after all, an army that surrounds me, but my doubts, my worry, my illusions, my own self-deceptions. These are the things that trouble me from within. So Merrill restates this psalm in this particular way. "Oh, beloved, how numerous are my fears. They rise up within me, whispering, there's no help for you." Have you been there, church? My fears say, there's no help for you. Yet you, all beloved, radiate love around me, my glory. Gratitude becomes my song. When I cry out to you, you answer within my heart. I lie down to sleep. If I should awaken, my beloved is there, holding me with strength and tenderness. I feel secure. I feel secure in that holy presence. Monday night, I laid down to sleep on the harder-than-concrete shed beside my mother's hospital bed. I closed my eyes, and because I was so very tired, in no time at all, I was drifting into that empty void of sleep. As I slept, I had a lucid dream. Have you ever heard of a lucid dream? A lucid dream is a dream in which you are fully engaged with the dream itself, but you are also cognizant of your environment, and you know that you are dreaming. In my dream, I was falling backward into a deep, dark lake. The pressure of the water rising up above me was pushing against my body with extraordinary force. So I was going down, down, down at a rapid speed. Down, down, down I went until I felt my back hit the bottom of the lake. I consciously knew what I felt against my back was that hard bed that I was sleeping on. But in my dream state, I felt the water above me. It was so heavy and so thick, I knew I was going to drown there underneath it. You see, my fears about my mother's well-being, my concern and my worry about what we're going to do next, it pulled me down under. And I felt myself suffocated by that weight. I consciously knew in my mind that I only needed to inhale, right? I needed oxygen. I needed the Spirit of life to fill me and sustain me. So in my sleep, I opened my mouth, even as I opened myself up to this greater presence. I bolted right up in bed. I filled my lungs, and I felt the assurance that I was not alone. God, the beloved of my heart, was with me and with my mother. Even in our stress, even in our fears, even in our uncertainty of what the future holds. I lie down to sleep. And if I awaken, my beloved is there, holding me with strength and tenderness. I feel secure. So, what are the doubts that keep you awake, my friends? What are the fears that rob you of breath? What are the insecurities that pull you down under? Realities of life can feel overwhelming at times, like an endless night of chaos and uncertainty. But in the midst of our self-imposed prisons, there is this sweet invitation to the freedom of rest, an invitation to renewal and healing and life. It is whispered for us in the depths of our souls. It is the presence that promises the potential of respite and deep inner tranquility. I will both lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord. For you alone. Make me lie down in safety.